Hey everyone, Yasin here, and in this video, I decided to do a turnaround for my character Kay, and the reason is because I already did a turnaround before of a character, and it was very helpful in seeing the figure in 3 dimensions. And so I figured, well, that turned out okay, so let me try that on Kay, and it didn't turn out quite as good. So I don't know. One of the things I think is so good about turnarounds is not that they look cool, because sometimes they do when it spins around and you can get all the drawings in place. It's not so much that, but what I think is really good about turnarounds is they act as a test to see whether or not you know what you're talking about when it comes to things like form, whether you understand a form correctly. And before doing this turnaround, I had already an understanding of areas that I was lacking in understanding. And they were the hair, the jacket, and the shoes. I wasn't exactly sure how these would turn in space. The rest was okay because it's like a head. I know how a head turns in space. I know, what a back view and a side view and a 3/4 view looks like. But especially for the hair, I didn't know what that looked like. So for me, it was really important to try to figure that out. And I thought, what better way than a turnaround? Well, I don't know. I think there might be a better way because turnarounds are really hard. And I'll go ahead and explain how to do a turnaround in a bit. But there are so many things to keep track of. And the worst part was I thought everything looked good. But as you continue on a turnaround, like when you get from just the line drawing into color, what happens is a bunch of problems start jumping out at you, and sometimes the problems don't appear until much later on, and that's because your eye is improving. But when you're very far into it, sometimes the only way to fix a problem is to start over from scratch, and these things take forever to do. So I actually recorded pretty much the entire process, and it's over 12 hours long. And I figured, I'm not going to be able to do 12 hours of commentary, of course. And I don't think most people would even be interested in seeing that. So I'm going to post it for viewers of for patrons on my Patreon. And for the $5 subscriber people. And then if they want to see something, if they want to see 12 hours of me doing a turnaround, it'll be there. But anyway, so turnarounds really expose any weakness you have in seeing things in 3 dimensions that just a basic character sheet doesn't. And what a character sheet is it's a page where you have a front view, a side view, a back view, and maybe a front or a back 3/4, or front and back 3/4. I mean, the most simple ones just tend to have those 2 views, a front 3/4 and a back 3/4, and then you'll have close-ups on the head, maybe some details to show what they look like. But again, for me, I wanted to really understand what was going on. So I do think by the end of it, I did figure stuff out in terms of the hair and the jacket and stuff. But this is by no means perfect at all. So I can't say, well, you should learn how to do a turnaround from me, because I don't really know what I'm doing in it. I'm just guessing. And so what I'm going to show you in terms of how I do it is really just how I'm doing it and not how you should do it. We did a head turnaround in animation school, and I don't really remember how we did that, but this is much, much, much more complex than that. So, So anyway, I guess now I'll show you how I start going about creating one of these turnarounds. All right, so the way I do the turnaround, if you look at a clock, and that's a terribly drawn clock, and you have your positions, right? Like 12, 6, 3, 9, and then 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11. So the first thing I do usually is I get position 6, 3, and 12. Usually it's 6 first, so that would be the front view. So that's a front view, that's a side view, that's a back view. So what I do is, I get this one. Usually start with the front because it's the easiest for me. So like, yay, I'm here. And then I'll get the side. So like, yeah, I'm here. And I make sure these sort of line up. Like this isn't perfectly accurate, which is why I said that, I'm not doing this super accurate because I really don't know how to do this properly. But that's what I do. I get this position and then I get the side position. Then the next thing I do, so this is the first one, which is number 6. So that's number 1 in terms of order. That's confusing. Okay, so let's get rid of the clock things because this is going to get it's more trouble than it's worth to be using these numbers and dots and stuff. So let's get rid of these. Okay, so the first thing I do is get this view, right? The front view. Then the second thing I do is get the side view. Then the third thing I do is take the front view and I flip it. So you just have, like, let's say, let's give this person hair. You have hair here. And then I would copy this. Control C, Control V. And then Control T, I flip horizontally. And then erase like the parts that, so now this is the back view and, whatever his hair looks like in the back. And so using the front view, flipping it, I get this view. So then you have 3. Okay, so now you have these 3 positions. Then what I do is I get the fourth one would be in between 1 and 2. And then in between 2 and 3, I get these. Then I in between 1 and 4, and then I in between 4 and 2, and then I in between 5 and 2, and then I in between 3 and 5, and then I have like half of this done now. So, and I'll show you how I do in betweens. But anyway, so now I've got half of this clock complete. Then all I do is, and I make sure this is symmetrical. So for instance, see this guy? His hair isn't symmetrical. So I might not even do the hair at first, and I'll just do all the parts that are symmetrical first. And then what I do is I take this portion, I take this whole side, and then I copy it. I flip it horizontally and then paste it. So then I automatically get, all these other positions. So this position, these. So then I'll end up with 16 drawings, but really you only need to do the first 9. And then this one, the back view and the front view, don't get included in that because you already have them, right? Like they will serve, you just copy these ones and then bring them over to get that. And then you have the full turnaround. Then what you do is you go in and you add all the asymmetrical parts, like this hair. So for instance, you have this, if this is this drawing right here, the second one, then you have an identical one here, but it's flipped. So it'd be the same thing, except it'll be faced the other way, like so. And then what you do is, like, the hair is going, like this. So there's more on this side than this side. So this part, you wouldn't see that much hair. But on this view, you would, right? So, oops. You can see more hair on this view. And, maybe it goes back here. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not really that simple. But anyway, it's kind of, the concept's not hard. But it's very important that you know how to do an in-between. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that right now. All right, so if you want to do an in-between, this is how you go about doing it. So let's say you have a shape like this. Let's just do the letter A for an example. And this is the first frame of this. And I want to make the second frame maybe here, right? Okay, so the red one is the second frame, the green one is the first frame. Now, how do you animate the frames in between these two? The way you do it is, and hold on, let me make this on its own layer, because that will be wiser. Control X, Control Z. All right, so the way you do that is, well, there's a couple of ways. One way is to do like a straight in between, where what a straight in between means is that you have positions occupying halfway. Okay, so let's say you had a circle, right? And this is frame 1, or a ball. This is frame 1, and it falls to this point, and this is frame 3, and you want to find where frame 2 is. Well, a straight in between would be halfway, so like right here. And then the other thing is you can have in betweens. You can have like a shape go from here to here, and you could. So this is frame 1 and this is frame 3. Or it's probably not going to be frame 3 because if you're on 2s, it's likely going to be 1 and then 3 and 5. It'll be frame 5. But anyway, you could go this way, right? So the ball goes from here and then it goes to here, and you could have it in between here. So that would be the position of the second one. But you could also go differently. Like it doesn't have to be from here to here. It could be from here to here. And so I follow this curve instead, this arc. And you just have to make sure this arc and this arc are the same. And then your number 2 would fall here. So how do you do it with this A shape? Well, the way I do it is I find a point, like this point, for instance, and I find the same point on the other A, so here. And then what you can do is, when you're starting out, you could actually just lightly draw in the line and then find the halfway point. And the way I find the halfway point is I go from this point to this point, and then I just ghost back and forth, and I get used to the feeling of how that is, that I don't know, motion, and I just find halfway. And usually it's kind of accurate when I just feel it out. It's like, okay, from here to here, and find that. And it's sometimes easier to, do it at a smaller location, and then from here to here, for instance, I can do the same thing. And at first you can start by drawing like a light line, but later on you don't even need to put in the line. You just go from this point to this point, and you hover back and forth, and then you find the halfway, and then you connect them. And if you repeat that for all the other positions, so this one to this one, go halfway and it's somewhere around here, then you connect that, this one to this one, something like that, this one to this one, halfway would be around here, this one to this one here. And you do get faster the more you do this, but I'm not like super precise right now, so forgive me if it's not perfect. Something like that, here to here, and then you can connect these two. It's very much connect the dots, and these two, so something like this. and then just finish that up. And there, so now you have this A in between these two A's, and I can go ahead and erase all the stuff I don't need. So this, all these dots, and this stuff I don't need. So just delete that, and then this stuff too. And now the animation part of it, I'm using Photoshop. And if you go to Window here and click Timeline, there's a timeline that appears in the bottom area. So here, if I click Timeline, Window, Timeline, this appears. And this shows you what frames you have. So it's kind of like layers, but instead of clicking this and getting a new layer, you get a new frame. And so what I'm going to do is only show the frame I want. So that's the first frame. So that's what will show up here. And it says 0 seconds. I'm going to click this and change it to 0.2 seconds. So that means this will last on the screen for 0.2 seconds. Then I'm going to click this to make a new frame, turn layer 1 off and put layer 2 on, which is the black one. And I can go ahead and, clean this up and stuff. And so there's that. So now that one's frame 2, and then I can go ahead and click on frame 3, turn layer 2 off, turn layer 3 on, and then now I have this one. So this, and then I can also go back and just do the middle one again, so that if I hit play, it does this. See? It's like, wee, it's moving. And I mean, it looks kind of dumb with the letter A, but whatever. That's just how I do a straight in between. And, it works for pretty much anything. You could have just whatever. You could have like a shape like this, and that's the first frame. And then the last frame is maybe here. And you could have the middle one do this in between. And then so that's frame 1, that's frame 2, and that's frame 3. See, like how you just go in between the two things that you're doing. And when you have lines that are contained, let's say you have, let's say you have an arm shape, and this is the first frame, and then it ends up being here. Just lower the opacity of this and this. So what I can do then is, see, it goes from here to here, so I can put my dots and then get a point there, and then this part goes from here to here. I can put a dot and then get that point, and then put a dot and connect that. And then for this, I just sort of treat it like this is a road between these two, this line and this line. I treat them like they're the sides of the road, and then there's, the dots that go, the lines in the middle of the road, and I just have to go down that. So it's like we go down and always trying to stay halfway, and then, something like that. So again, let's raise the opacity of these, and just this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And then if we play that, it looks kind of like that. Like, see how that thing moves? So anyway, that's how I'm doing the in-betweens. So basically that's it. In terms of the method of what I'm doing. Again, it's a bit more complicated, but in general, that's it. Would I recommend people do this? Yeah, actually I would, because it really teaches you a lot, or at least it taught me a lot. If you are someone who struggles with form, I think this is a very good exercise. And if you're someone who thinks you understand form, but you haven't tried something like this, it might be an eye-opener in terms of maybe you I mean, maybe you do understand form really well, in which case that's cool. But it might just expose some weaknesses, because I know often I think like, yeah, I kind of get it, and then no. But yeah, so I do recommend this if you want. It takes forever, but it's worth it in the end. If not for the result, then for the amount you learn, which is quite a lot. So with that said, I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.